You know who I be, man. Except for my steez, man. You know how it's going, man. Coming to bring you another video, bro. This time I'm about to really just bring y'all basically what's talking the town, man. What's going on in the AFL as far as trade rumors. Anybody who's been delisted, anybody who's been re-signed to a contract extended. Just keep y'all posted up on that. Keep y'all updated on that, man. Make sure that y'all know where your club is at, man. You know what I mean? So just in case, I know some of this information can be hard to find sometimes. And I had to go to multiple different sources to try and find these. So hopefully it just makes it easier for everybody else to just find some type of information and just click on the video and get everything you need, man. I'll go through all 18 clubs. Let's get it, man. Let's see how this goes. All right, we're gonna go in alphabetical order, man. Typically, how you know how it goes, man. Starting with Adelaide. All right, Adelaide. So Adelaide, compared to all the other teams, from what I see, they don't have too many people that are out of contract. I'll say too at the beginning of this video, I don't know what the difference is between free agents and out of contract, because just because you're out of contract doesn't necessarily mean you're a free agent. So if somebody can help me out, help us out, looking drop a comment on what the difference is, and if you can explain that for me, it'll definitely help a lot. But with that being said, Adelaide doesn't have much of either one of those, so they kind of already have their list structured to how it is, or they have their players, you know what I'm saying, that they want to go forward with. But they did re-sign Tex Walker, bitch ass. They re-signed him, extended him for another year, 2023. Lachie Gallant and Elliot Himmelberg, 2024. And 2025, Josh Rochelli, excuse me, and Jake Saligo. They did have one delisting, which is Kyle Hartigan. He's currently tied to St. Kilda, so he looks like he won't be out of a job too long, man. He looks like he'll be back on the field next year. They don't have any retirements, so yeah, Adelaide's pretty cool, man. They didn't really lose too many players either, and they look kind of solid, man. They look like they know where they're trying to go. Got the contract locked up. All right, so Brisbane is the second team I'm going with, and this team on the complete opposite end of Adelaide has a lot of players out of contract, free agents, so their list kind of is questionable right now. Not sure if this is the current list that they'll be having. I don't see them obviously re-signing everybody back. There will be some changes, I'm sure, but they do have some players that they did re-sign. So for next year, they have Daniel Rich, which is definitely a key player that you want to have on your team, especially if they're in a premiership window. But they also have James Madden and Nakai Kakatu for the 2023-2024. They have Ainsworth, Keaton Coleman, and Caitlin Lane and Henry Smith. I'm not too familiar with the last two, but I guess they see something in them players that they might want to tap into. 2025, they have Joe Danaher, which is obviously one of the key pillars up front. James Tunstall, don't know who that is really, and Darcy Wilmot, who actually played pretty good last game, man. So he got extended for 2 more years for a 2-year contract, so I know he'll be happy with that. And also this, well, not the skipper, but Lachie Neal. You really could say he's the captain, especially the way Dane Zorko was acting, has acted this year. But yeah, Lachie Neal 2026, that's definitely your main player that you would like to have tied up for the future. The star midfielder, man, is like, letting him go would be definitely a mistake, I would like to think. But they didn't have any delistings and they didn't have any retirements, so their list is definitely solid. Other than the players that they have out of contract, bros, like Mitch Robinson, Dev Robertson, Dane Zorko's up in the air, he's an unrestricted free agent. Yeah, there's a lot of players, a lot of depth there that may not be there next year, or may decide to take a contract elsewhere. So Brisbane will be a team to watch out for. Now to the Blue Baggers, Carlton boys, man. Whew, there's been a lot of changes for Carlton, for real, man. We can get into, I guess we can get, there's no retirements, man. Tom Williamson, I don't know if you want to consider that a retirement, but he did step away from football for whatever reason. I don't know if he'll return to another team or even to the Blue Baggers, but that's one player that I guess you could say that's definitely about to be different. That won't be on the list next year. But as far as our signings, we signed Sam Durden, rewarded him, the back man. Obviously he just came this year. We just got him from North, but need that depth back there and back, so I was happy with that. Josh Honey, the forward, I was happy with him. He got hurt earlier this year. Didn't really get to see as much as we did last year. I liked last year as far as the potential that he showed, and yeah, I definitely am glad that we locked him up at least for another year, for him to give him another chance to see what he can do. And Ed Kernow for the midfield depth. I mean, I guess that's cool, man. More in favor of keeping defenders, bro, considering how bad it was this year. So I mean, Ed earned a spot, man. He can stay. He's a hard worker. 2024, we have Owies, Cottrell, Boyd, Lockie O'Brien, Jack Carroll, Corey Durden, and Alex Murkoff, who's the young ruck. So a lot of those players, yeah, we got some forwards in there, man. And Lockie O'Brien, who really broke out. I wouldn't say breakout, but he definitely cemented a spot, I think, this year on the wing. So I like that. And yeah, the inside mid, Jack Carroll, and always a small forward, Durden a small forward. I kind of like that, bro. I definitely am happy with the players that we already signed. 2025, Fisher and Kennedy. Definitely loving them too. Walsh in 2026 and Charlie Kerner in 2029. So those are definitely key players that we would like to keep and have on the list for years to come. And nobody's too old, and they can get the chance to grow with each other and grow and potentially be a premiership contending team through all the chemistry that they can build together. As far as the D lists, oh man, I was kind of sick about Liam Stocker, bro. He was one of my favorite players for Carlton. He's always standing up for the boys, man. He's the first one there to put his arm around you you know what I'm saying, if you ain't feeling the best, man. And he stands up for his brothers, man, especially if somebody gets hit on the field or something, he's gonna be there, bro. So granted, I don't know if he would have had a spot in the midfield given our depth there, and we drafted him as a midfielder but threw him down back and he didn't look like just a natural defender. But it is kind of sad to see bro go. I liked Liam Stocker. So Stocks, if you ever watch this, man, salute to you. I fuck with you, man. Will Hayes, also the new acquisition, the newest blue that we got, blue bagger that we got. Delisted him, Jack Nunes, and Oscar McDonald, and Luke Park. So I was kind of sick about Oscar McDonald too, because he was showing potential down there, down back, intercepting marks down center half back, but ended up getting rid of him, and I don't know why when we need depth down in the back line, man. And we didn't have any retirements, like I said. So it's Carlton. On the Collingwood, we have, let's go scroll down a little bit. And they look like they have some decent amount of players out of contract too. Jordan DeGoey being the biggest. He's a restricted free agent. Not sure where he's going right now. He's been tied, I think, to the Saints and I think to Geelong. So it'll be interesting to see if wherever he goes, it'll just be a big deal, to be honest, given the talent that he has. Also, just the controversy that he brings and what team will be willing to put up with that or take that risk to get the talent and maybe put themselves into a better spot to win a premiership. Obviously, Geelong's in a good spot, but I think that would definitely help the Saints. Yeah, him and Ollie Henry's a big deal. Mason Cox actually re-signed for the year. That's what he said, at least. But you got Will Hoskin-Elliott, Trent Bianco. You still have some players down there. Jack Madgen, Caleb Poulter. Some of these are just depth players, but at the end of the day, you don't really want to tweak your lineup, I think, too much if you're having a great season, you know what I mean? So 2023, they signed Aiden Begg, and Ash Johnson locked them up, and Mason Cox. So Ash Johnson, I think, was a big one. Obviously, you see what he did last game. 2024, they got Ginnivan, Josh Dacos, McCreary, and McCray. So those are all, I think, definitely players that can make a difference, and given especially the first two. McCreary has looked pretty good, too, I ain't gonna lie. Nathan Murphy and Reef McKinnis also the same year. Nathan Murphy's killer down back, so Collingwood's doing a good job locking these players up. 2025, they got Jamie Elliott, Darcy Cameron, Isaac Quaynor, and Brandon Maynard. So those are all players. Darcy Cameron's been showing out in the ruck and even can play forward. And then you got Quaynor at down back and Maynard down back. Both are big deals down there. And Jamie Elliott, who's potentially the best small forward in the league. So to have those players locked up, man, it's like key places, just keeping some structure. So I like it. And Darcy Moore, 2028, has been extended this year, earlier in April. I think he signed that or announced that. And Jordan Ruffett retired, so no delisting. So Collingwood doesn't have too many changes with the roster, and they're locking up the players that they have. Just maybe a couple players that they think they need to sign. May have to cover for the DeGoey loss if they do lose him. All right, so moving on to Essendon. Some of these players I don't even know, man. So I don't even know what to really say too much about these boys. All right, so as far as who they signed, Andrew Phillips and Patrick Voss, 2023. I'm not too familiar with their games. 2024, they got Nick Cox, Sam Durham, Nick Hind, and Nick Martin. So the three Nicks did you realize they got them locked up for 2024? Archie Perkins, Andrew McGrath, and Tex Wanganeen. So all those players, they all have show potential, bro. I would like to see a little bit more from McGrath. Perkins has his key moments, but I think he needs to be a little more consistent. Cox, Hind didn't have a great year like he did the year before that. And Nick Martin is definitely impressive. So big deal. 2025, Jaden Laverty and Zach Reed. Okay, that's good. And 2026, Kyle Langford. As far as delistings, they delisted Michael Hurley, Tom Hurd, and Garrick McDonough. I'm only familiar with Michael Hurley because he was pretty decent, and he obviously has the issues that forced him to retire. So, and then speaking of retirement, Dev Smith and Anthony McDonald, Tipping Woody, playing Putty. I don't know if y'all know about that song, man. Shout out to Juwan, he showed me that song. That shit's pretty funny. But them boys are retiring, man. So Essendon's looking a little different, bro. It'll be interesting to see the direction that they take. Who they decide to sign during the trade period. That's not already on their own list. Moving on to Frio next. All right, so Frio has. All right, so got some big, couple players that are here. Definitely make an impact for Frio that are off contract. Blake Akers, James H, Griffin Logue. Yeah, so those are the main ones. As far as who they signed 2023. They got Sonny Walters locked back up. Obviously, what he did last game, he's showing he still got it. So as long as Frio's in the Premiership window, they want to keep him there. I would like to think. Travis Collier and Carl Warner. I'm not sure who Carl Warner is too much. I'm not too familiar with his game either. But Collier can have his moments, I think, where he makes an impact on the game and can be dangerous. 2024, you got Bailey Banfield, also Brendan Cox, Brandon Walker, Sam Switkowski, and Nathan O'Driscoll, who I think all those players definitely play their role in Frio and I think are pretty important to the structure of their game. You got the Brendan Cox, who's all Australian back there. Nathan O'Driscoll has been young talent that's been breaking out a little bit. I like what I see from him. Sam Switkowski being one of the dangerous small forwards that they have over on Frio, and Brandon Walker, who I think did a pretty good job last game too. 2025, they got the rookie class locked up: Amos Erasmus, Matt Johnson, and also Alex Pierce, who the dude who sat on his own ankle. 2026, they got Frederick. And 2027, they got Heath Chapman locked up until then. David Mundy was the only retirement that they had, which is a big deal to them. I think they can cover that. I think he did a good job of grooming the midfield into being what they are. I like to think he had a hand in that, so salute to David Mundy. And they didn't have any delisting, so Frio's looking like they're not making too many changes there, man. All right, so Gold Coast. All right, so Isaac Rank is the biggest deal. You know, he's going to South Australia. He might be out of there. They got Levi Casboe, who's unrestricted free agent, which I would never really think to say that. That's a big deal, man. He definitely was fire this year, bro. Taking contested marks and just timely scores when they needed them, bro. Him and Cho definitely like a combo down there. Josh Corbett, Chris Burgess, Charlie Constable, Markov, Darcy McPherson. Okay, so those are players that are out of contract. As far as who is in contract, we got this 2024. They have Ben Ainsworth, Ben King, so the Ben boys, just like we just had the Nick boys not too long ago. Elijah Hollins and Ned Moyle. I'm not too familiar with the last two. Maybe Elijah a little bit, but not Ned. 2025 had Mac Andrew and Connor Buderick. So they liked what they seen, I guess, in them two, and they wanted to go ahead and keep that going. 2026, Caleb Graham, LaCoches, and Lockie Weller. It's a good deal to get them locked up. LaCoches kind of, I think, needs to make a jump next year, though. I guess they want to invest his potential a little bit more, bro. And I don't really blame him too much. Lockie Weller, I think he was the one with that tough injury. 2027, and they got Took Miller up until then, which is probably the biggest contract that they have and the biggest deal, because he definitely set standard there for Gold Coast. And I like what he brings, bro. He brings the toughness, and he brings hard work, bro. And not too many people. He might be the hardest worker on Gold Coast, bro. All right, so let's move on to Geelong. Off contract, you have Luke Dalhouse, who may not be there. Zach Guthrie, who I liked what I seen from him at times this year. Tom Hawkins was, but he had a verbal commitment to saying that he's coming back to the club, or he'll be playing footy next year. So we'll be looking out for a contract there. Joel Selwood is an unrestricted free agent. Gary Rowan, Quentin Narkle, Sean Higgins, Isaac Smith, a big deal on the wing, unrestricted free agent. Zach Tui. But yeah, so Geelong doesn't want to let all these players go, man. There's definitely a handful that he would like to keep, that they would like to keep. And yeah, but obviously not too much is going to happen right now when they're in finals right now, being the most competitive team, I would like to think, up until the end of the home and away season. But yeah, I think they're definitely focused on winning the Premiership right now, so they'll definitely have time to get into that later on. 2023, they locked up Oliver Dempsey, Shannon Neal. 2024, they have Brandon Parfit, Max Holmes, Mark O'Connor. In 2025, Toby Conway, because I'm not familiar with Brad too much. But yeah, that's where Geelong stands. They don't have any losses. They don't have any retirements either, so they just yet. So Geelong is looking straight, man. not too much is gonna change there, I think, bro. I don't know if I'm expecting Selwood to retire. I'm not really sure, man. Who knows? If he wins one, you never know. GWS, man, we have the retirement of Matt DeBoer, the Tagger, hardworking midfielder, man. So salute to him. They won't have that little tactic in the back pocket, being able to throw him at anybody. And knowing how dangerous the Tagger is, definitely GWS will have to make some type of adjustment. So as far as out of contract, they have Jared Brander, Tanner Braun, who is I think he's linked to be. I'm expecting him to leave. I think they've been talking about him leaving. Phil Davis, Bobby Hill, who doesn't want to be there, as we know. He requested a trade to Essendon last year. Xavier O'Halloran, Lockie Keith, Daniel Lloyd, Zach Sproul, and Tim Taranto, who I'm pretty sure will be at Richmond next year. So yeah, they have GWS is gonna have some shaking around to go to. I think they linked Bobby Hill to the Pies too. So just keep an eye out on those moves to see if that'll happen, or if they might hit you with the okey doke and not actually go to those teams and go to a different team. But yeah, man. So 2023 we have Callum Brown, Cameron Fleeton, Cooper Hamilton, and Jacob Ware. Not sure who that is. 2024 they have Isaac Cumming, Ryan Angwin, Josh Fahey, Jesse Hogan, James Peatley, and Adam Kennedy. And 2026 Connor Iden. So no delistings there either. Those aren't the most important players for GWS, and given that they have a new coach and everything, I wonder if those players will be there or if they'll be gone. All right. So as far as Hawthorn goes, out of contract, probably the biggest deal they have. It looks like waiting to sign Jack Gunston, the key forward from Hawthorn, who's he's an unrestricted free agent. He's one of the more talented forwards. He left his imprint on the game during the regular season. I would like to think him and Mitch Lewis were definitely a tough combination that you didn't want to go against, bro, because they can carve you up, especially how dangerous and how attacking that. How dangerous the attacking can be from Hawthorn whenever they clicked on. So, who else they got? Liam Shields, unrestricted free agent. But I think he actually is retiring, if I'm not mistaken. So that's one person off the board. I hear that Tom Mitchell is linked to going to another team, and that'll be another big deal, bro, because he's like the main midfielder that I know, the main midfielder that I think of when I think of the Hawks. I don't know, the Hawks might be going through a whole different change, man. 2023, they don't have too many signings, bro. 2023, they have Ned Long. 2024, Sam Frost. Denver Granger Barris, I'm not sure who that is at all. CJ, obviously we all know who he is, and that's a good pickup there. Connor Nash and Jack Scrimshaw. 2026, they have Mitch Lewis, which is another great pickup, and James Sicily in 2027. So I think they look like they know what key pieces they're trying to build around, but as far as the players around it, I think all those can be subject to change, to be honest with you, especially when you're finishing where you are. Big boy McAvoy, he retired, so without him, that's definitely huge. I have to figure out a solution in the ruck. Maybe it's what's the fucking guy's name? Damn, what's tall ass bro's name? Damn, I can't think of his name. Ned Reeves. But they also had 4 delistings. They had Tom Phillips, Connor Downey, Daniel Howe, and Jackson Callow. So they felt like they could do a little bit more with those spots. And so look for Hawthorn to make some changes, man. Melbourne. All right, so I ain't gonna lie, bro. Some of these Melbourne players I didn't even know, bro. Like, who are these players, bro? Okay, so like Oscar Baker's off contract. Michael Hibbert. Fraser Rossman, bro. Like, bro, who are these players, bro? But Luke Jackson's the biggest deal there for sure, bro. You know, obviously they've been talking about him going to Frio. Toby Bedford, Mitch Brown, Jaden Hunt is unrestricted free agent. Jake Melksham. So yeah, man. So Melbourne, I didn't know some of the players. 2023 they signed up Judd McVie, Deacon Smith, Andy Moniz Wakefield. Bro, I don't know these players, bro. 2024 Jake Bowie, obviously the champ, you know him. Bailey Laurie and Tom Sparrow. 2025 Charlie Spargo, the single signee. 2026 the single signee Bailey Fritsch. 2028 Angus Brayshaw. 2030, god damn. They look like they already have their pieces there and just signing little contracts. They don't have obviously too many people out of contract, so they pretty much got their system there set. Majak Dar was the only retirement that they have, and no delistings. So look for Melbourne to be consistent with the roster that they have. It looks to me like they see the blueprint and they're trying to stick with it. As far as North goes, North didn't have too many signings at all. So Paul Curtis 2025 and Tristan Terry 2025 and Terrence Thomas 2024. Those are the only three signings that they really had. They lost Tom Lynch in retirement, and he was just in a coaching role really there for the most part, but he didn't even play a game at all. But as far as off contract, Jed Anderson, Atu, yep. Ben Cunnington's a free agent, restricted free agent. Todd Goldstein, Aaron Hall, yep, Josh Walker, Lockie Young. Also, though, they did get Cam Zahar back 2024 as well, and Paul Curtis. So they didn't really do too much. They had some delistings. They obviously didn't like what they seen with Matt McInnes, Kyrie, Hayden, and Patrick Walker, and the retirements there. So North still has a wide open list, bro. Especially with new Clarko about to be there. I wouldn't think anybody's really too safe, man, except for the key players. Maybe Aaron Hall. I know they would like to have him back. But maybe everybody else probably can go, bro. I ain't even gonna lie, bro. Maybe Jed Anderson. I know I'm not sure Clarko's style really. I'm not too familiar with it, but I'm not sure if you would like Goldstein to come back, as just to have him as another mentor alongside himself to be able to help the young crew. So it'll be interesting, bro, to see what North does. Port Adelaide did a lot this year. I ain't gonna lie. So. All right, so what Port did this year, they re-signed Trent McKenzie and Tickle in 2023. 2024 is probably their biggest year that they did. The 3 draft picks, you have Zach Butter, Xavier Dersma, and Connor Rosie. Also, Ollie Lord, Willem Drew, Jack Piscini, Todd Marshall, another big deal, and Lockie Jones. 2025, Ryan Burton, Josh Sin, and Dante Vicentini. And 2027, Dan Houston. As far as retirements, you do have 2 big retirements here, though, with Robbie Gray and Stephen Motlop. But they did get a lot of their talent back. They look like they'll be losing Carl Amon. I know he's been linked to Hawthorne. And Travis Boak is also unrestricted free agent. Trent Dumont, unrestricted free agent. Martin Frederick. It's some big losses for Port, but also some big signings too. So it'll be interesting to see how they fill those gaps with Carl Amon on the wing, Travis Boak if they end up losing him in the middle, Stephen Motlop and Robbie Gray at the forward. So it shall be very interesting. I ain't gonna lie. And they did have 3 delistings: Sam Mays, Sam Skinner, and Taj Schofield. Not really too familiar with any of them boys, ain't gonna lie. So Richmond is the next team that we have, and looking at these boys, so as far as their losses, we know Shane Edwards and Kane Lambert are retiring. Matt Parker got delisted, the forward, and Josh Caddy retired as well. As far as off contract, they just re-signed Jack Rewalt and Trent Cotchin, like the other day actually. I think they just re-signed, bro. Them two, they were both unrestricted free agents, so that's interesting for them, trying to run the tables again. I think they were impressed with themselves and the season that they had this year. I don't think if they would have not been successful as they did, I think Cotchin probably would have just retired. But you also got Arts, Riley Collier-Dawkins, Maurice Rioli, Jack Ross, Sidney Stack. So they're out of the contract, but they're not free agents. As far as who they signed, like I said, Cotchin and Rewalt are 1-year deals. Also, Marlon Pickett has been re-signed to a 1-year deal. Tim Taranto expects him to be there. Maybe if it takes the middle of the season, I'm not sure. 2024, you have Liam Baker, Noah Cumberland, Ben Miller, Samson Ryan. So Baker and Cumberland being, I think, the 2 more important that year. 2025, Tyler Sanzi, not sure who that is. 2027, 2 big other signings in Daniel Rioli and Jaden Short, who stepped up a lot this year and started turning up. So that's very interesting. So Richmond did good. I think maybe Cotchin and Rewalt might bite them in the ass. Not sure because of the age factor, but it'll be interesting. Next team, we got St. Kilda. Not too many players out of contract, I ain't gonna lie. As far as who they're losing Patty Ryder to retirement, which is a big deal. Dan Handerberry as well. Jaron Gary, Dean Kent, all these players retiring. They have 1 delisting in Darach Joyce. I don't know how to say that name. Forgive me if I'm messing it up. They don't have too many players out of contract. But as far as who they signed, 2023, Dan McKenzie, Jimmy Webster. 2024, Matthew Allison, Josh Battle, Jack Hayes, the star ruckman before he got hurt, towards ACL, I believe it was, early in the year. So they believed in him enough to reward him after he got hurt. So that's pretty wild. Max Heath, Ben Patton, Cooper Sharman, and Callum Wilkie. So some big names in there. 2025, Marcus Windhager. I do like him as a player. Machito Owens. Not too familiar with his game too much in 2027. Big pair in Jack Steele and Rowan Marshall, the young ruckman. So got some key players locked up in there, man. But I definitely don't see that same list as far as St. Kilda has right now, contending for a premiership. So I would like to see some changes there. All right, Sydney has actually, looks like a lot here for Sydney, man. Ain't gonna lie. Josh P. Kennedy retired, we know that. contested ball beast. Out of contract, let's see the big names here. Buddy Franklin is a restricted free agent, obviously. He's been tied to leaving. Sydney not finishing his career there. Patty McCartan's an unrestricted free agent, and that's a huge deal, I would like to think. Other ones include James Bell, Ryan Clark, Harry Cunningham, Robbie Fox, Will Gould, Jake Lloyd, big deal. Sam Naismith, Callum Sinclair, and Colin O'Riordan are retiring with him as well. They call it a career. No delistings here. As far as their signings, not too many either. So Dane Rampy, 2023, the soul there. That'll be out of contract at the end of next year. As far as 2 years, we got Ollie Florent, Errol Golden, and Logan McDonald. So the three young, talented players I like them. 2025, Matthew Roberts. 2026, Justin McInerney. 2028, Isaac Heaney, obviously a big deal. And 2029, Callum Mills, West Coast Eagles. This should be very interesting to see how them boys move. I seen they offered Nick Nett a contract again, so they believe in him, obviously. Josh Kennedy, retired, as we know. I would like to think he still could play another year, but good on him to feel like it's his time to go, and he wants to go out on a high note, and he did, so shout out to Josh Kennedy. So out of contract players, unrestricted free agent, you got Hugh Dixon, Shannon Hearn, Jermaine Jones, Tom Joyce, Patrick Naish, Jackson Nelson, obviously Junior Rioli's agreeing to go to Port. Jack Redden's out of contract, Connor West out of contract, Bailey Williams out of contract, Zane True out of contract, Declan Mountford out of contract. So as far as who they re-signed, biggest name they re-signed, so next year they re-signed Luke Shuey for one more year alongside Callum Jamison. 2024 is the Elliott Yeo and the Harry Edwards. 2025 is Tom Cole, Nick Nett, Campbell Chester, and 2026 is Tom Barras by himself. So Tom Barras being the biggest name there, I would like to think. Shuey may retire after next year, man. And last but not least, we have the Doggies. Really didn't lose anybody from last year, man. Nobody announced retirement or anything yet. We do have some players out of contract. Zane Cordy, Josh Dunkley, Taylor Jarre, JJ, Stephon Martin, Toby McLean, Josh Shecky, Mitch Wallace, Riley West. So yeah, you got some big names in there, man. But they did re-sign some big ones. All right, so 2023 they got Mitch Hannon, Buku Kamas, the fan favorite, and Dominic Bedendo. 2024 Bailey Smith and Team English. I think that's a very big deal to have them two that year. But you want to not lose either one of them that year, man, because they're both impact players. Both can change the game. 2026 Caleb Daniel. 2027 Jack McCray, and also Bailey Dow. Some big ones there. You got some other players looking at, man. I seen the McStay to Collingwood, the Blake Akers to Carlton, the Carl Amon to Hawthorne. I seen Richmond trying to get both Jacob Hopper and Tim Taranto. So it'll be interesting to see them as a pair go. Rioli to Port, Junior Rioli. There's so much in the air right now, man. This was just something just to give y'all a lot of information. I know it was a lot, so hopefully y'all enjoy it. But yeah, it's pretty much all the information that I got. And what I could gather from where each team stands as far as players that are out of contract, players that retired, players that are cut, delisted, and players that got signed for the future, man. So if I missed anything or anything more recent came, you can even just keep coming back to the comments and just drop updates, man, on anything so everybody else can see it, or everybody who's a fan of the channel can learn together, man. So that's all I got for y'all, man. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube shit, man. We got a Patreon, obviously, if you want to go ahead and help us financially. Yeah, man, I really ain't got nothing else for y'all, man. Hope y'all enjoy it. See y'all for finals next week, man. It'll be lit.